Imagine journalists getting mad at people simply because they can play the game the way that they want to play it. I truly cannot believe the dumb things game journalists find to complain about these days. Even if developers work tirelessly to change things in their games for these people, it will never be enough. Now, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is finally out, and a lot of people have really been enjoying it. Mass Effect is really fun, but I personally didn't buy it because they ended up censoring a bunch of scenes with females in the game, and I did talk about it when that happened. But I said back when we found out about censorship that the same people who they censored the game to make happy will find something to be mad about, some reason to give it negative press, and here we are. Because now journos are saying giving players choices are bad, and the only way that people should be playing Mass Effect is as FemShep, because she is a strong, independent woman. This is a Slate article. I insist you play Mass Effect as a woman. You'll regret completing this space trilogy series as a dude. When I saw the title of this article, I did really think that this was a joke, but it's not. They legitimately try to defend the reasons why you shouldn't play the game as a male. It says, now that Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the remaster of BioWare's groundbreaking space trilogy, is out, the video game series is likely to reach a whole lot of first-time players, especially considering the current drought in new game releases. If you're one of those players, first of all, welcome. You're in for an incredible RPG experience packed with adventure, gunfights, space politics, and romanceable aliens. In Mass Effect, your choices have real consequences on the story, and you should feel free to experiment accordingly. I do really like Mass Effect. I was actually going to buy this trilogy and play it, but because they ended up censoring a bunch of things, I just decided I was going to play my old copies of the game if I really wanted to play Mass Effect again. I'm not going to support censorship, especially needless censorship like this. Like, they literally, instead of just leaving the females the way that they were, leaving the scenes the way that they were, no, they decided to respect women and make it so you couldn't see specific shots of their bottoms and also their breasts. I don't understand why they would do that. It's a game for adults, but continuing on, it says, but here's one choice you absolutely shouldn't make. Do not, under any circumstances, play the protagonist as a guy. They try to say right here, it's okay if you're a guy and if you want to play the game as a guy, yet when you get deeper into this article, it gets so much worse. They contradict the heck out of themselves. They say, look, there's nothing wrong with men. I'm one myself. It's totally okay to be a man, and in most circumstances, it's perfectly okay to choose to play a male character in a video game when given multiple gender options. This really just reads as a massive joke. It says many men find it very affirming of their identity to see their body type and masculine presentation reflected on a screen. According to BioWare, more than 80% of players in Mass Effect chose to play as the male version of Shepard over the course of the trilogy's initial release, and I'm sure most of those players simply didn't know any better. Imagine belittling people over their choices and their opinions. Imagine trying to guilt people into playing a specific gender in a game because you think it's the superior way to play the title. The reason the female version of Shepard is so remarkable is due to the voice acting of Jennifer Hale. There are other reasons to play as FemShep, but if you miss this voice performance, this is their reasoning, due to male insecurity, you're missing out on what may as well be the greatest voice performance in video game history. I think that she did a relatively good job. I'm not a massive fan of Jennifer Hale, but she did an okay job. Would I call it the greatest voice performance in video game history? No, it's not even close in my opinion. It says this is not a criticism of the voice acting of Mark Meer, but then of course they go on to criticize the voice acting of Mark Meer, saying he gives a perfectly competent reading of the character. At times it's even downright good. However, as almost all of the lines are the same between the male and female versions of Shepard, comparing the two allows you to appreciate the full depth and passion in Hale's voice acting. I want to say that I'm surprised that people are attacking gamers simply for wanting to play the game with the male option, but I'm genuinely not that surprised. They try to find anything to complain about. Oh, sorry guys, I played Mass Effect with the male option because I've got a fragile male ego. I mean, seriously, do they not realize how ridiculous that sounds? Or is this another case of we're desperate for clicks, even if they're rage clicks? Scrolling down, they go on to continue about how male Shepard is a video game character. He's fine, but female Shepard feels like a living, breathing person. These people used to beg for more female representation and wanted more females as options in games, yet when they're given those options, it's not good enough. They say there should only be one gender. They literally trash the players who are using the male options. Just let people play the games as whichever gender they want, male or female, the game is still good. You don't have to tell people, do not under any circumstance play this specific gender. It's really garbage. You're belittling players for absolutely no reason. Scrolling down, though, it says women still face an uphill struggle in gaining excellence within leadership roles in real life because many people don't have a fully realized template for what success looks like and sounds like in a female leader. Instead of simply arguing their points about females in video games and how people, should give them more of a chance without attacking gamers, they decide to drag real life arguments into it, talking about women facing uphill battles in real life roles. Just go and write an article about that instead of, attacking something that people are passionate about, just playing a damn game. And Polygon actually did this with an article a few days ago, talking about how you're a terrible person if you support the remakes because you're supporting Space Police. So it says Mass Effect's revival reminds us it's time to abolish the Space Police. I'm not going to read this whole article, it is absolutely ridiculous, but they basically try to bring real life issues into the topic of video games. It says after the wave of protests last summer, the topic of defunding the police began to seem more frequent and serious public discussions. Several city councils even introduced measures to reallocate police funds to social programs with vastly inferior budgets. It says maybe policing as a concept was bad, maybe it couldn't be reformed but should be abolished instead. BioWare's famous space opera trilogy Mass Effect, now packaged into the single Legendary Edition and released on modern consoles, arguably suffers from a similar problem. These games experienced runaway popularity at their height and retain a dedicated fan base to this day. It goes on to say, though, but when most fans reminisce about what they truly love about the games, it's the memorable relationships between the young, diverse cast of characters that they tend to bring up. But it continues to scroll down and say, Alliance Navy officers, Shepard and their crew are always some version of glorified space cops. They go on to simply attack characters because they're space cops. I mean, seriously, these are the types of things that journalists are finding to complain about. Again, just go write articles about politics if you want, or social issues. Don't throw them into video game articles. People look at video games to escape their everyday woes and issues, not for them to be thrown in their faces when they're playing a game or reading an article. These are the types of articles coming out right now about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition collection, and again, I was initially going to support it, but after they censored scenes, I decided not to support it, and I know a lot of other people decided to pass on it as well, but these are the types of people they're censoring their game for, that they're hoping to get money out of. But let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel, and of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.